بلا شك الإعلام عنصر فاعل ومؤثر في ترسيخ الهوية الوطنية وتعزيز الهوية الوطنية من خلال ما يبثه من محتوى رقمي ومحتوى خبري ومحتوى ترفيهي. هذه المحتويات كلها أو هذا المحتوى الإعلامي يجب أن يشتمل على قيم ومبادئ وطنية لتعزيز الهوية الوطنية عند المشاهد وعند المتابع. وكما نلاحظ أحيانا الإعلام يكون متهم في مسألة التأثير على الهوية الوطنية من خلال إبراز نماذج غير إيجابية. يستطيع الإعلام من خلال استراتيجيات واضحة ومن خلال دعم واضح أن يكون مؤثراً فاعلاً وإيجابياً في تعزيز الهوية الوطنية وإبرازها بالشكل المطلوب، وأيضاً من خلال إيجاد وسائل تجعل الهوية الوطنية ومحتوى الهوية الوطنية محتوى رائع ومؤثر ومسلي ومحبب لدى الجمهور. عندما نصنع محتوى إبداعي مؤثر يبين أهمية وقيمة الهوية الوطنية وتأثيرها في ديمومة الوطن، فهذا بدون شك سيؤثر وسيجعل الشباب هم الذين يتبنون مفاهيم ومبادئ الهوية الوطنية عندما يعون ويقدرون أهمية هذه الثوابت وأهمية هذه المبادئ في تعزيز الهوية الوطنية لبلادهم.
I think it's a really interesting period to be a woman entering media through digital platforms because there's an ease of entry, and for a lot of women, again, we must say that in context of limited infrastructure for some people, not everybody has access to the internet or good quality internet or mobile phones, etc. But for those that do, there's easy entry. We see that, and research has demonstrated that the majority of African podcasters are women, are African women, which is amazing. And I think that's also because a podcast is an environment that is not so easy to troll compared to maybe if you're a social media influencer, where it's easy for people to attack you online. And a lot of these women that use podcasts use it to capture the stories of other African women to change the narrative of Africa. So I think podcast is a growing environment, especially for women, both in terms of as producers and hosts of podcasts, but also in capturing the stories of women. I personally host 2 podcasts. My main one is called Her Media Diary, where I interview other African women working in media industries, and being that custodian of their story is very important to me. One of the first interviews I did was with Hoden Neleya, who was a Somali Canadian journalist who moved from Canada to Somalia to set up her own digital TV so that she can change the narrative of Somalia. Unfortunately, she was murdered in a bombing in 2019. But her story is really an example of where women, even in diaspora, African women, even in diaspora, are trying to use these digital platforms as part of their approach to changing the narrative of the continent. And I think that's really powerful. I think on other platforms, TikTok and Instagram and social media, there's been really great examples of women using it again as part of their identity as women in media. And I think again, there's a question around regulations and policies for media platforms and making sure that their safety is kind of guaranteed. That if I am a social media influencer on the latest environmental news, I'm not going to be doxxed or attacked by people who do not believe that there is such thing as climate change, those kind of things. So I think there's a question for platforms in terms of how to make online environments safer for women.
First of all, for us to be here listening different ways of how journalism is done in the world is very important for us, because it opens our mind to understand that there's some new challenge, some new ways of doing things. We're very far from here. We're 14,000 kilometers far from Abu Dhabi. So I think in the cultural way of doing journalism, that's, I think, the first goal of this Congress, in terms of open our minds to understand how you do it here in the Middle East, in Asia or in Africa. We have some very good conversations and coffee with the Rwanda people, with Botswana people, with Middle East people. So that's very comfortable for us and give us a lot of value. I would say the two big topics here in the Congress has been youth and tolerance. And I think they are really, really important topics for society rather than for journalists. And we as a media, we have to take care about that. It was very inspiring, the first speech of the Minister of State of Youth here of the Emirates, in terms of how we reach young people. Are we doing it in the right way? When we said that's what our audience wants. It's something for the short term or something for the long term. Because youth people today is not listening to us. It's not in the mainstream media. They're in another platform. So we have to pick up them once again back, going to our platforms, and we have to play as a visitors in their way of communicating. And I think that's the best challenge that we have to do.
الكونغرس الإعلامي هو صورة استشرافية لصناعة مستقبل الإعلام. هو أيضاً يعني من خلاله تقربنا أكثر من بعضنا البعض من القنوات العالمية من زملاء المهنة أيضاً.
We were very happy to be here for these 3 days, and now that it's the last day, we have some insight we can share about the show and how impressed we were where we came in for the first time. And we found lots of big media leaders that have huge booths here, and that was very impressive. But there's also a lot of international people that are here. So just on the right side of our booth, we had lots of international news agencies that were there. So it was really an international audience. And we had a chance also to speak in a big set to share our vision about AI and about what we do. And we also had a chance to speak with other speakers and to assist to lots of set on speech that are very inspirational. So for us, it was a success, and we can't wait to see how it's going to be next year.
Our participation, it's basically we're sharing what we do, which is a magazine, a photo magazine, an agency in Mexico, mainly in Mexico, but also in other countries in Latin America. We're sharing and building bridges between us and other media. It's important for us because precisely of that, building bridges with other journalists and other companies of journalism, so we can know what is happening in other places, but also we can start collaborating in certain things, working together.
Global Media Congress was a great opportunity for us media specialists from Azerbaijan to introduce our news agency, which is Azertouch, is one of the world's oldest news agencies. It has been around for more than 100 years. Yes, it is actually one of the first in the East, especially in our region. We produce news in 8 languages, including Arabic, Spanish, French, Russian, English, Chinese, and so on. And today during this 3 days Congress, we had great opportunities for further networking and further communicating with other news agencies, TVs, and to have perhaps future collaborations. So this event was really important for us. We also want to thank Emirates government and state officials for hosting and organizing this great event, and for hospitality of Emirates and its people. This event and everything overall was fantastic, and thank you.